Good morning. Welcome to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I am Glennis Peterson, your service leader for today. And our speaker this week is Anne Claire. She will be available after this service for an after-sermon discussion on Zoom. The sign-in time for Zoom is at 11:15 on this Sunday, and the conversation will start at 11:30. If you have not yet used Zoom, you can Google Zoom and download the free app. You can do this on your phone, tablet, or computer. Follow the prompts and then you can join us. Otherwise, these discussions are recorded, so if you can view them anytime on YouTube, just like our services. And our services are generally uploaded on Saturday nights. Since you're using YouTube to view this service, please click on the red subscribe button. This will make it much easier to find us at any time. And if you also click on the little bell next to the subscribe button, you will receive notifications whenever we upload a new video. It's important to make every effort to stay connected with one another during this physical separation. Please call and check in with members of our congregation. If you know how to find us on YouTube or have used Zoom, help others who might find it difficult to do so, in order that many as possible can participate in our services. I would like to thank Michael Wheeler and Lucy Swingham for their work in producing these videos each week. As I light our chalice this morning, please keep in mind these words by Lisa Doge. Why a flaming chalice, the question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing. A cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst. A cup of wine for celebration and dedication. The flame of truth, the fire of purification, oil for anointing, healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage, and a light to warm our souls and guide us home. Our opening words this morning are from Albert Camus. He said, "In the midst of hate, I found there was within me an invincible love. In the midst of tears, I found there was within me an invincible smile. In the midst of chaos, I found there was within me an invincible calm. I realized through it all that in the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer." And that makes me happy, for it says no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me, there's something stronger, something better pushing right back. I would like to introduce our speaker today, Anne Claire. Anne is a defrocked cleric who originally served within a band of unruly Irish heathens. Her religious roots are Roman Catholic by way of South Boston. Her spiritual roots are eternally interconnected with you and me and all of us. Those spiritual roots found UU roots deep underground about 30 years ago. From the rooted connection sprouted and grew the humorous nature of our speaker today. Throughout her life, Anne has been involved with special education, starting as a teenage volunteer member of a patterning team for a developmentally delayed child. That led to teaching water safety to special ed kindergartners, and eventually to a teaching license. Anne attended school at UC Berkeley in the early 70s and suffered culture shock. There were the People's Park protests, and the Patty Hearst kidnapping happened too, close for comfort. She left to complete a business degree in a more conservative setting, always wishing she had not left Berkeley before she found her voice. Currently, Anne is writing her memoir and will share a chapter of it with us this morning. Anne?
Good morning. My morning prayer, the one I recite each morning, was written by John O'Donohue. It's called A Morning Offering, and it begins, I bless the night that nourished my heart, to set the ghost of longing free into the form and figure of dream, to go and harvest from the dark, bread for the hunger no one sees. I know that hunger, the hunger no one sees, the hunger I keep hidden. We've all known it at one time or another. I think we experience that hunger when we're most afraid, when we're drawn to the thin ice of doubt and uncertainty, when we think we are in control and discover not only are we not in control, but we never were in control. That can create an internal dissonance, a hunger for a harmony between our beliefs and our experience. And it was during one such time of dissonance that I created for myself a spiritual resiliency toolkit. It contains items that I can see, I can touch, I can read, I can play with, when my thoughts, however positive, just aren't enough. I created my toolkit about 5 years ago, and I wrote this story at the time. In April, I received no alimony at all. I was served legal papers instead. My ex was asking the court to relieve him of any financial obligation to me, as I had failed to secure full-time development after the divorce. My credit rating had somehow survived his post-divorce bankruptcy filing, but I was not back on my feet. I only had enough money to last through July. My friends had already helped me so much. I was ashamed to admit to any of them that I may be facing another financial crisis. I started looking for a family law attorney who would work for me pro bono. When it got to where I was facing homelessness in just a few weeks, I started to consider panic as an option, but I knew only working on a solution would get me one. There was one farm bed where I could sleep short term. It was not a path I wished to travel. At a friend's suggestion, I applied to a master's degree program where I could get student loans for housing. My part-time income qualified me for health care coverage and food stamps from the state. At the same time, my daughter and I were looking to her friends and asking their families if they might house her until her school resumed in the fall. She found a place with one of her dorm mates and was set until school started. Now for me. I will make something out of this situation, or I will plop myself down will I plop myself down like a soup sandwich? I started calling everyone I thought I may have a job lead. If I didn't have a good phone number, I reached out by email. Ellen worked for the teachers union. She and I met at a rally/protest years before. We were out looking for more funding for education. We developed a Facebook friendship over the years as I followed her journey through her battle with breast cancer. Ellen was the first to respond to my request for comments on my resume. She called and straight out asked, "What is going on?" I told her the position I was in, that my job at the preschool didn't pay enough to live on. I might apply for a master's program just to get a student loan. "You come live at my house. We have a room." We talked about my staying just 2 months while something worked out. "My husband's a cop. He'll want to know, can you pass a background check?" "I work at a preschool. I had to pass a state check," I offered. "Will all this be okay with your husband?" "He doesn't get a say in this," I was informed. "When can you come and look at the house?" I went over the next day, and Ellen showed me the room, showed me the house, introduced me to the kids, Rocky and Estelle, and she went over a few basic house rules. Not in the book to be shared just with you. She opened the refrigerator and pointed at the pâté and said one rule: you never have pâté alone. You must offer it to everybody who is in the house at that moment. Okay. And just like that, I had a roof over my head and absolutely no idea what was going to be coming with it. That is from my book, Breaking Pollyanna. This is my resiliency kit that I put together 5 years ago. And it is an actual box. It is something I keep not too far from me. I am able to get to it anytime I want. And these are some of the things that I have in it. First of all, I did decorate it with what I think is great inspiration for me. It's a young boy wearing a crown and his wire-rimmed glasses and a cape as a superhero. And it says, "And the ickies turn tail, awed at the whippersnapper's steely grit." That's who I need to be when I pull out my resiliency kit. So here we go. The first thing in my resiliency kit is my sledgehammer. And actually, it's my current sledgehammer sits under it, and I didn't bring it today. My sledgehammer is a book. Because the most important thing that keeps me going through any downturn is the one thing I have faith in. The one thing I have faith in is my own beliefs. I know I can go inside and I can find what I need. So the book has changed over the years. I have 2 things inside tonight, or this morning you are going to hear the second piece of sledgehammer that I keep, and that's an Emerson quote. What or who I believe in today, 5 years ago, 5 years from now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what anybody believes. It's the act of believing. And that word act or action is what really comes through everything in my toolkit. You take an action and you are no longer in the same place that you were just a second ago. And movement will take you forward. I have something that I call my spiritual resiliency pliers. Now, depending on what or who you are being resilient from, you may or may not think you deserve one of these. There are several people in our congregation who might need a big one of these this week. It's been a tough week for lots of us. And in this envelope that is addressed to me is an invitation to a pity party. Everybody deserves it. It gets that bad. And you can let your pity for yourself stand in your way. So let it out. You might want to scream, throw darts at the picture of the person who hurt you. You may just want to stomp. I cry. And the most important thing to put on your own invitation is the stop time. You get a start time and you predetermine your stop time. You may need 5 hours for something little. You may need 5 months. I've been displaced from my home for 6 weeks now, and I got another 2 months coming. So my stop time hasn't hit me yet. I still allow myself a little pity party now and again, but it allows me to keep going. My spiritual resiliency wrench is to loosen connections. And some of you know that isn't the easiest thing for me. But connecting with those people who you know and who know you is probably the most important thing you can do when you're feeling the need for some resilience. So whether you have a telephone with connections in it, you have an email with connections in it, you may have an old Rolodex or a real paper address book. This wrench doesn't mean pulling out those addresses. This wrench means turn on the tap by making connections. And the connections don't count if they're not verbal. You need to talk to someone. You need to admit, I have a problem. Until I put out that I needed help with my resume, nobody called and said, I have a room for you. It would be amazing if we all knew one step ahead that somebody's going to help, but we don't get to know that. All we get to know is we have to ask. My spiritual resiliency overalls aren't with me today, so you're just going to have to imagine. I went through the house and couldn't find them with everything packed up, but they are your superpower pants. Now, mine, I really did want to show you because they're granny bloomers. I actually have a pair of white granny bloomers that come down to the knee, and I do wear them. I know when I put on those bloomers, just as some of you would know when you put on a pair of red Superman trunks or whatever you may put on for your overalls, I'm okay, and I'm not standing alone. I come from a long line of very resilient women. And when I stand in those bloomers and laugh at myself in the mirror, I know that I am not alone. Walking in nature, volunteering at a soup kitchen, doing something for somebody other than yourself is the hacksaw. I don't have one in here because it requires, again, action. I've been taking my daughter's dog to the dog park, and that makes me so happy. So anything that you can consider is a near guaranteed positive outcome that you know ahead of time that it's going to make you feel better, go do it. If you can teach a young person how to play something like checkers or fish, or I played horse with a young man. And the point isn't to win. The point is to make their game better. Because then you're going to walk away. It's a guarantee you walk away feeling better when you've made their game better. It's not always a guarantee you walk away feeling good when you beat a 5-year-old at Goldfish. So when staging a comeback, you also want to avoid learning new skills. I wouldn't take up belly dancing right now. I wouldn't suggest golf because of the big frustrations. Something that you know will have a positive outcome, a predictable positive outcome. Now, my fire extinguisher is very important. It can be a balloon or a paper bag. Today, I brought a paper bag. I exhaled. And we're going to do that all together right now. When I ask you, you're going to exhale, and I'm going to stay silent when you do that, and I want you each to observe what happens next. Okay, everybody take a breath in, and then we're all going to exhale. And I'll wait. What happens next? The inhale takes care of itself. Are any of you still holding your breath? No, you don't have to remember to breathe. You have to remember to exhale. And then if you have a balloon, I like to make noises, let it fly around. Again, it makes me feel better, and that's half the point of the resiliency kit. Now, one of the toughest tools I've got in my resiliency kit require some deep work. And here we go, the toughest ones. One of them is a level. And the level is a formula I was given for success about 40 years ago. And it works. I've put the Patricia Fripp formula for success to work 3 times in my life, and 3 times, dang it. Patricia Fripp at the time was the first female president of the National Speakers Association. And I heard her at a graduate degree class. She suggests that you can have anything you want, make your success whatever you want by putting together 3 steps, following 3 simple steps. Simple step number 1, write down what you want. It's not really a simple step, and it might take you days. I give myself 3 things. What is it I really want? I feel change coming. Where do I want this to take me? And I write down 3 things. The second one is very important. Then you have to write down, what do I have to give up to get number 1? For instance, if I'm going into medicine and I think delivering babies is the best job in the world, I'm going to be an OBGYN, but my personality tells me that I have a very strong need for control over my time. I might need to give up either the need for control over my time or the desire to be an OBGYN and go into dermatology. That would work. So once those 2 things are congruent, what do you want? What do you need to give up to get it? Then number 3 is list your priorities. What that comes down to is really a list of your values. What's going to be most important as you go on? And for me right now, number 1 on that portion of my formula is taking care of my health, because longevity is now a priority for me. Now, those are the 3 simple steps, and what I failed to tell you and must tell you is there's actually a 4th step. And it's the simplest step of all. You take that list and put it away and forget it. You've already planted it in your subconscious mind. It's all there. When I first did this, I wanted to be, well, what I wrote was, at the time, I was a young divorcee with no college degree and wondering what the next step would be. I put the Fripp formula to work, and within 5 years, I had a business degree. I owned my own business, and I was making big bucks as an expert witness in courtrooms all around California. And I got married. I had the family I wanted, all within 5 years. And when all of that ended, I thought, boy, I need to pull out the Fripp formula again, because this is a big time of life changes. So it works, I can tell you that. It's not as hard as it's not as easy as it sounds, but it's a wonderful tool. And the last tool I'm going to share with you, excuse me. The last one I'm going to share with you is my power drill. And it's in this box, and nobody gets to see it. And you all need to go get a little box, and nobody gets to see it. What you put in here is a piece of paper that describes in the most beautiful language you can come up with the horrid experience of the darkest night of your soul. The things you wouldn't share with anybody, the ones that stirred that hunger that no one sees, those black thoughts you will never admit to anyone. Write them down. And then write down what followed that brought you to where you are. And again, you never have to look at this. I actually pulled mine out once. It was there, but I didn't have to look at it. I knew exactly what it said. So you got your jackhammer in there for when you really need it. This is how I kind of keep my sanity. That and laughing. And so I'm asking or suggesting that everybody here, do the same thing. Before it comes to the next dark night of the soul, if you have something that you can use. I've recently added music to mine. The other day, I heard John Fogerty singing Put Me In, Coach, and I was sitting in a restaurant, and I'm just going, put me in, Coach. Yeah, and I go, what has come over me? And I go, apparently a tool that needs to go in the toolkit. So, look at me, center field. It's not that hard when you're prepared. We might need to clap now and bring out another one. So with any new setback that any of us face, when we're prepared, when we have an idea where we might go, and we know what tools we have, it's going to make that journey a little bit smoother. I would like to close today as I opened. The last stanza, 2 stanzas of John O'Donohue's Morning Offering. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays and to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more. May it be so.
Our closing words this morning are from Ralph Waldo Emerson. To laugh often and much, to earn the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the beauty in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know that one life has breathed easier because you have lived here. This is to have succeeded. As I extinguish our chalice this morning, our words are from Amy Zucker Morgenstern. When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of our lives and sharing it with the world.